make a movie inside the United States, and we should have a tariff on movies that come in.
US President Donald Trump has renewed his threat to impose a 100% tariff on all films produced outside the US, a move that could upend the international film industry and hit Britain especially hard. Here at the BFI London Film Festival, Black is Beautiful, a UK-US co-production, is celebrating bold storytelling and cross-Atlantic collaboration. But the red carpet glamour comes amid a backdrop of concern. President Donald Trump's threat of tariffs makes projects like this far more expensive and far harder to get off the ground.
It has the potential to be catastrophic, but I'm also quite hopeful that it's not something that will be enacted, because it would also really badly damage the American film industry as well.
I don't know if that's going to come to pass, but yeah, it's definitely, it wouldn't be a good thing for the industry. But I think, you know, as creatives, all we can do is continue to make the work and sort of like try and tell these stories, which is the main thing.
Caroline Dinenage, MP and chair of the UK's Culture, Media and Sports Committee, says it's important not to underestimate how vital creative industries are for the UK economy.
We know that it's worth about £126 billion a year, our creative industries. Quite often people think about film and television as being things that make you feel good, things that entertain you, but actually they create thousands and thousands of jobs and huge amounts of inward investment. The British film industry already suffered a bit because of the impact of the pandemic, but we only really understood the extent of the particularly US investment a couple of summers ago when the SAG-AFTRA strike happened, and we saw a lot of the productions that were happening here in the UK dry up. And if, as a result of these tariffs, that was to stop coming over here, that would make a big impact. It's a really important thing for our Prime Minister to be discussing with the US government, and I think it should definitely be front and centre of any future trade discussions.
The UK film industry is dependent on a good relationship with the US, but the proposed 100% film tariff could cause cracks to the relationship.
We are quite reliant on the US investing into the UK to make films. We kind of have to wait for them to say, we're going to make a film, and then we scramble around to make it happen. We're not so great at having a pot of money for the UK to say, we're going to make UK films. And so if that money doesn't happen anymore, we're kind of stuck. We don't have that huge amount of investment to make our own films. View
Cinema CEO Tim Richards says this makes it difficult to enforce tariffs.
How do you define what is going to be actually hit by these tariffs? And that's what everyone's really been focusing on. I think because of the complexities, because there are other ways of actually implementing and getting to the same place through tax credits, even what Gavin Newsom has been proposing as well in California, that there are other means of achieving the same goals without having the impact on the industry.
Ritika Gupta, CNBC, BFI London Film Festival.
Well, really nice change of pace, Ritika, to look at the UK film industry. I mean, when you look at the UK actors, they really punch above their weight in terms of their presence in the global film industry. When it comes to the threat of President Trump's tariffs here, how enforceable are the tariffs, number one? And two, if he is able to find a way to enforce them, how impactful, based on all the conversations you've had and research over the last week doing this piece, how impactful could it be?
Well, Juliana, first of all, enforcing them is very difficult. There are a lot of complexities around this, which I will get into. But also, as you were talking about, if he does enforce them, this could be catastrophic for the UK film industry, because it's already struggled before or after the pandemic, where we're struggling to get those box office levels back to what they were pre-pandemic. Then you had the SAG-AFTRA strikes on top of that. Well, that was when people really realized how much the UK is dependent on the US when it comes to financing those American dollars, bankrolling British films. And now the concern being that if there were tariffs enforced, that this could really really dampen the UK's outlook when it comes to film. And I spoke to the Bend It Like Beckham director Gurinder Chadha, as well as the CEO of True Brit Entertainment, and they're releasing a new film called Christmas Karma. This is what they had to say on how tariffs could impact filmmakers and distributors in the UK.
I understand what he's saying in terms of people losing jobs, local jobs. I mean, that's why we have the tax credit in the UK, so that we can nurture and encourage British talent, so we have a British film industry. So I think that I'm not sure that tariffs are practical, but I think we have to look at the message behind that, which is that every country is trying to protect its own film industry.
One of the films that I made with Gurinder Chadha was Bend It Like Beckham 25 years ago, and that was a huge success in America. And we made it here locally. We made it as a local film, Gurinder and I, and we thought we hope that little movies like that can translate. But who knew that a movie about a girl in Southall loving football would travel to America in such a big way? And it did. That would have been a real challenge for that film had we had tariff on it. It would have reduced the profitability and the viability of the film.
That was Gurinder Chadha, the director of the hit Bend It Like Beckham film, as well as Ziggy Kamasa, the CEO of True Brit Entertainment, talking about if these tariffs were enforced, the difficulty that would have on UK filmmakers and distributors, because the UK film industry, it's a bright spot in the UK economy. It contributes billions and billions of pounds when it comes to production spend. The latest figure in last year contributing £5.6 billion, but 65% of that actually came from US studios and US streaming, according to the BFI. So a big dependence and reliance on the US. And the other difficulty that I'll point out is just how to enforce these tariffs. We know that the global nature of making films these days, where you have scripting, filming, post-production done across the world. So how do you actually enforce those practically? This idea that it could also really hit Hollywood in a big way as well.